Yo, Dodrio aka Mega Butts. In today's video, we're looking at Tyranitar EX. Now, Tyranitar EX has been around for a good bit now, coming out in the Obsidian Flames set, but I never really got around to making a video about this card, so that's what we're going to be doing in today's video, is looking at this really crazy and insane Tyranitar EX deck. So let's get into it. Already here at that deck list, Tyranitar EX being the main star of the show here is a stage 2 340 HP lightning type Pokemon with that Terra ability. Its first attack, Mountain Hurl, for 1 fighting energy, does 120 damage, and discard the top 2 cards of your deck. So discard the top 2 cards of your deck does feel a little bad at times, but for 1 energy for 120 on a stage 2, it's kind of insane. For the second attack here, for that double fighting energy, Lightning Rampage for 150 plus. If your bench Pokemon has any damage counters on them, this attack does 100 more damage. So the quickest way I feel like to get damage counters on our bench Pokemon is we are playing the Dodrio with that ability Zooming Draw. Once during your turn, you put 1 damage counter on this Pokemon. If you do, you draw a card. Has a pretty decent attack for that Ballistic Beak for 1 colorless energy, 10 plus. If this attack does 30 more damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. So not only are we putting damage counters on our bench Pokemon with this Dodrio, but we're also drawing cards on top of that. So we have our draw engine and the damage counters we need for our Tyranitar EX. We're also playing 1 copy of the Dark Baby type Tyranitar, so we can kind of get around things like Mimikyu or some other, problem-some cards. First attack for that that 1 dark energy route for 30 plus. This attack does 30 damage for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon, and then Dread Mountain for double dark 230, discard the top 4 cards of your deck. It reminds me a lot of Tyranitar V, being able to just single strike crush, discarding the top 4 cards of my deck, but we're hitting for insane amount of damage. So we're also playing, 1 copy of Fan Rotom, so we can fan call and get our Doduos and Dodrios out. Very similar to like the Noctowl engine in that way. Munkidori Fezandipiti, of course. 3 Arven, 3 Iono, 2 Boss, 1 Iris's Fighting Spirit, 1 Jacq, 4 Buddy-Buddy Poffin, 3 Rare Candy, 2 Ultra Ball, 2 Switch, 2 Earthen Vessel, 2 Night Stretcher, 2 Terra Orb, 1 Super Rod, 1 Tongue Machine Evolution, 1 Sparkling Crystal for the ace spec of choice, because being able to attack with our Tyranitar EX for 1 fighting energy feels kind of insane. So Sparkling Crystal just felt like a really quick add and was able to kind of cut down on the energy costs or the energy in the deck to be able to kind of make Tyranitar a little bit more effective in that way. And then 1 Community Center, 7 fighting energy, 2 dark energy, and then 1 reversal energy. I really feel like this deck is pretty underrated, and I've went on a pretty good win streak on the rank ladder with this after reset. So let's jump into the gameplay. Already here at that Tyranitar EX gameplay here. At the coin flip, it is going to be head. So our opponent did win the coin flip. Now, it doesn't really matter if we go first or second. We would like to go second so we can hopefully Technical Machine Evolution. But if we don't, it's not too big of a deal. We can try to like Rare Candy into our Tyranitars and kind of go from there. But starting hand is pretty solid, actually. We got 2 Doduo, that Fezandipiti, got the Larvitar in there, Buddy-Buddy Poffin, and 2 Fighting Energy. So we're going to throw the Larvitar in the active spot, throw down a Doduo, just in case if they're playing like Poison Donk, because people are playing that now again, unfortunately. Fan Rotom starting off for our opponent here. Looking like they have that Noctowl engine in the deck to some degree, so we're just going to have to see kind of what's going on here. We see a Ditto here, so maybe Terra Box, maybe Terrapagos, could even be something like Raging Bolt. We're just going to have to see. We see a Fighting Energy come down here, retreat out of that Fan Rotom into the Ditto here. Transfer start once during your turn. Pokemon's in the active spot, you can switch it with one of your other basic Pokemon in your deck, and then you discard the Ditto. So that's what our opponent's going to be looking for here. Maybe just trying to get one of their attackers or something of that nature. Not too sure. We're going to have to see kind of what they grab off this Ditto. But I feel like this will kind of give us a better idea of what they're at least playing. So we'll have to see. But they're going to grab Squawk Ability, so it doesn't really give us any idea. It kind of leans more towards like Raging Bolt, if anything, because Raging Bolt I feel like is the only deck that plays Squawk. And we are going to see that Raging Bolt EX come down here. Earthen Vessel, pitch the Hoot Hoot. Going to be able to get 2 energies here, Fighting and Lightning Energy. Now, Raging Bolt is kind of interesting. We are able to one-shot the Raging Bolt EXs with our Tyranitar EX if we have damage counters on the bench, because we do hit for 250. So that's the nice thing about Tyranitar, is 340 HP is pretty difficult to deal with, and you're able to kind of mow your way through most of the basic EX attacking decks, things like Terra Box, things like Terrapagos, Raging Bolt, and things like that. Even Goldango at times is pretty easy to get through as well, which is pretty helpful. So Buddy-Buddy Gonna get us some Pokemon here on the bench. Attach the fighting energy to the bench Larvitar, and then just pass turn. Our hand's not super great now at this point. We kind of are hoping they KO the active Larvitar so we can flip the script off our Fezandipiti. We're going to have to see. Now, the nice thing I really feel like about our opponent playing Squawk is that's just a free 2 prizes for our Tyranitar. So we'll have to see what's kind of going on. They're going to motivate here. Not too great of a start for our opponent, putting 2 energies to their bench Raging Bolt, the Baby Bolt for that matter. We're going to attach another fighting energy to our Larvitar on the bench and then pass turn. If they end up going retreat boss or something, we're in a lot of trouble. But it looks like our opponent is just bricking just as much as we are, but we're in a situation where we're actually not bricking that much because now they're going to Thunder Burst Storm, take a knockout on the bench Larvitar, which we didn't want, but they're going to activate one of our big draw engines, which is going to be that Fezandipiti EX, and going to be able to try to find our way into some Dodrios as well. I could have Ultra Balled in the previous turns, but I didn't want to get rid of the Fezandipiti or the Super Rod. Those feel very important with this deck. So for our turn here, we're going to draw into that Earthen Vessel here, and I'm taking forever on my turn. I think we were watching The Punisher while I was playing this. I can't quite remember. So we're going to Super Rod here, or sorry, Earthen Vessel, pitch the Super Rod, get the fighting and a dark energy here. Fezandipiti, going to be able to probably flip the script first, trying to find our way into some pieces here. Pupitar to the bench, going to be able to Ultra Ball here, discarding 2 of the dark energies, going to be able to grab ourselves that Dodrio here. So Dodrio going into play here, gonna evolve our Doduo into Dodrio, and then Zooming Draw for 1 card here, taking 10 damage counters, draw into an Arven here, so Arven gonna be able to find us Techno Machine Evolution, and we're gonna see what else we can grab here. We're eyeing up maybe another Ultra Ball, doesn't really matter, maybe Buddy-Buddy Poffin. We are going to attach Evolution and that energy to the Larvitar, Evolution into the Doduo and the Pupitar, so Tyranitar EX coming into play, and the Dodrio coming into play for that late game Techno Machine Evolution play, which typically isn't something you really want to do, but we're in a situation where it doesn't matter if we do or don't. So they're going to Thunderburst Storm for 120 onto the bench Dodrio, which is going to put us at a 6-4 split. So we are a little bit behind here at this point, but we are going to be able to retreat out of our Larvitar here into our Tyranitar EX, but flip the script, going to be able to get us into a Munkidori, into another Larvitar. Dodrio here, 10 more damage counters, draw a card, into a Night Stretcher here. So now I actually could go Ultra Ball, and this is exactly what I'm going to do. Ultra Ball, pitch the Buddy-Buddy, and the Night Stretcher, because I have Rare Candy into the Tyranitar EX, and then attach the fighting energy in my hand to the active Tyranitar. Then we're going to Lightning Rampage for 250 damage, taking our first prize card, putting us at a 5-4 split. Now, I have 2 Tyranitar EXs in play. I have a draw engine in play in Dodrio and Fezandipiti on top of that. We got the Munkidori, so we can try to move some damage counters around with some more shenanigans, and another Larvitar just in case. Plus, we got a Terra Orb in hand, but our opponent's going to put down that Slitherwing. Now, that card is a bit of a problem. For the same reason it's a problem for Pikachu. Now, that Burning Turbulence is going to be able to hit for 140 damage. And then times that by 2, because we are weak to it. So looking at 280 damage coming here to our Tyranitar. So, doesn't have the same problem as Pikachu does, because Pikachu has the issue where it dies to the burn. But we still end up getting that burn on top of it. So 280 plus burn, if we already have some damage on our Tyranitar, can be pretty dangerous. So our opponent here just going to pass turn to us. We're going to have a Community Center for the top deck here. Could play the Community Center just so we can kind of heal some extra damage. Community Center pretty interesting. If we play a supporter from our hand, we can heal 10 damage, which is pretty nice. So we're going to Terra Orb here, just kind of look in the deck. We don't have anything. Zooming Draw, 10 damage, draw another card, into a Fighting Energy, attach the Fighting Energy to the bench Tyranitar. Then we are going to Mountain Hurl for 240 damage, discarding the Pupitar and that Reversal Energy. Now, the reason we picked Mountain Hurl instead of Lightning Rampage is, if we're lucky, our top decks will be a little bit better if we discarded cards with that Mountain Hurl attack that are kind of filler. Things like Buddy-Buddy Poffin or Nest Ball, cards that we don't really need anymore. If we can get lucky, we can discard those, and then kind of follow up with some Lightning Rampages later on in this game here. But now we're at a 4-4 split. Our opponent is going to get that Fezandipiti of their own. Flip the script for 3 more cards. Coming down with a Noctowl here, but they don't have a Terra Pokemon in play. So maybe they're just trying to save it, or just trying to maybe thin the hand or something, because they're probably looking at an Iono. But instead, they're just going to motivate for 20 damage. Going to be able to just power up some more stuff. Kind of going a little bit of a slower route here. Really trying to power up the Raging Bolt EX to take care of our Tyranitar, because we are in a bit of a pickle ourselves. We don't really have a super great hand, but we did top deck Earthen Vessel here, so we can Earthen Vessel away our Buddy-Buddy Poffin, getting us 2 energies. But we only have 1 fighting energy in deck, so we're going to get that fighting energy, attach to the Tyranitar, Zooming Draw, 10 damage, draw a card, into a Doduo here, and then we're just going to Mountain Hurl, I think, for the knockout here for 240 damage. Just going to the top 2 cards of our deck again, getting rid of Night Stretcher and that Jacq, which isn't too bad actually, taking 2 more prize cards for a fighting energy and a Buddy-Buddy Poffin. So now we're at a point where our deck is getting pretty thin of cards that aren't very useful. We're trying to find useful supporters and useful items. Things like, you know, that Dark Energy would be really nice. Maybe the Night Stretcher could have been good to have so we can get the Dark Energy out of the discard pile. Things like Boss's Orders or an Iono or something like that would be pretty helpful at this point in the game, kind of later on. But our opponent here getting a Night Stretcher, getting a card back, flip the script, draw 3 more cards, trying to maybe piece together an Ogre Pawn so they can kind of go from there. But instead they're going to go Baby Raging Bolt. Crispin here, gonna just be like, all right, I'm gonna try to just hope you don't have Boss's Orders to kind of get around my Raging Bolt and try to take knockouts maybe from the bench. And that's exactly, I think, their plan here. So they're going to power up this Raging Bolt on the bench, move all these energies, Prime Catcher, pull up our Munkidori, put their Baby Bolt into the active spot, Thunder Burst Storm here. Gonna probably take a knockout on our Dodrio. Maybe even try to put some damage on the Fezandipiti. They're kind of moving some damage counters around, so we're going to have to see kind of where everything goes. But I could see them trying to set up a multi-prize turn. But actually, they're just going to put all 90 on the Fezandipiti, saying either you don't have the energy or you don't have Boss's Orders. So we do have the switch off the top deck here, but we had the energy in hand anyway. Zooming Draw here, 10 more. And we get the Boss's Orders off that Zooming Draw. So switch into our Tyranitar. Boss's Orders here, gonna pull up the Fezandipiti, Lightning Rampage for 250, and our opponent knows that they are cooked. We have zapped our way through our opponent here with our Tyranitar EX deck. I really feel like this deck is severely underrated, a little bit clunky at times, but when this deck can kind of get all the pieces, it's really difficult to overcome a 340 HP Tyranitar that's hitting for 250 damage. So let's get into that outro. All right, going to do it for today's video. If you guys are enjoying the content I've been making stuff for the channel, don't forget to leave a like, smash the subscribe button. I would appreciate it. And I'll make sure to put the deck list that I played in today's video in the description below, ready for copy paste into TCG Live. Definitely check out the Mega Blitz Poke Cove Discord. We've got tons of stuff going on in there. I'm trying to kind of get more of a community aspect rolling in the Discord. So definitely jump in and check that out. But before we head off, I want to give a huge shout out to all of my awesome channel members you see here. They can support our channel even further by joining the Trainer Club here on the Mega Blitz YouTube channel. But that's going to do it for today's video. So I'll see you all in the next one. Peace!